today is actually going to be a compilation, if you will, video. I had a baby and I wanted to go ahead and document my journey. I was due December, well, first of all, my due date was all screwed up. Like, one doctor would say it was December 4th, another doctor would say it was November 27th. So that caused some confusion as to when I was gonna have him, which I'll tell you about later, but keep that in mind. So the day I went into labor, so it was just a normal day. I honestly, through my pregnancy, other than like sciatic pain, or however you say it, I had a lot of that and a lot of hip pain. I didn't have much nausea or anything like that. I do have a chronic illness that I did have a flare up of, and I was in hospital for like a week. But other than that, and I had one incident that I had to go to the hospital because I saw spotting, but it was early on in my pregnancy. But other than that, there was no issues. I was high risk because of the chronic illness, but it didn't really cause too much of a problem as far as his actual gestation. I went into labor, so on October 17th, I was like extremely tired. I wasn't in any pain or anything, I was just tired, so I was pretty much in the bed all day, and I kept having my bottoms kept getting wet, and I'm like, what is going on? And it was summer, or it was early October, so I do live in Kentucky, so it was still pretty warm outside. So I'm like, man, am I sweating that much? Like, what is going on? Like, shower, go change, get back in the bed. Continues to happen, but not enough to make me worried, just enough to annoy me. I would say about 11 o'clock that night, it got to be a little bit more. And so that's when I told my boyfriend, I was like, okay, look, I'm thinking something's going on. Like, we might be going to the hospital. I'm not sure yet. I don't feel like I need to go yet. And my mom always told me, like, when I needed to go and I truly believed I needed to go, then I would know instinctively that I needed to go. I woke up, I was all wet again, so I went to the restroom, did my business. When I went to stand up to pull my clothes up, kapoosh, just everywhere. I'm like, what just happened? I'm like at least 2 months away from being due. I'm hoping I just peed on myself, but I'm like, I just went to the bathroom, so I'm pretty sure my bladder's empty. So he actually had ran to the store, so I was like, it was crazy because earlier that night he was like, all right, so if anything happens, you just text baby 911. So I text baby 911. He came rushing back, and it was so crazy because I could not get dressed because the water would not stop. It just kept gushing and gushing. So I'm trying to like pack myself so I could put on clothes, because his friend, like, we both were friends, so his friend was gonna tell me, I'm like, I don't want to get water all in his car, like, ew. So I'm trying to like pack myself. I'm sitting on towels or whatever. We get up to the hospital, they check it. It was amniotic fluid, so they kept me. So I get, and that was at 2:45 a.m. on October 18th. It was a Sunday. So they admitted me, and then that's when the issue with my due date happened. They were like, okay, you're saying you're 34 weeks and some days, but your information here is saying you're 33 weeks and some days, or 32 weeks and some days, something like that. And they were like, well, you have to wait till you're 34 weeks before we will induce you. So you're just stuck until he decides to come on his own. And if he doesn't come on his own by that Saturday, which would have made me 34 weeks, then they were going to give me Pitocin and all that. I labored in the hospital from the 18th to the 20th. That's when I went into actual full force labor, and then I had him October 21st at 12:45 a.m. So on the 18th, like, after I called my parents and I called my sister and let everybody know that I was in the hospital, I had 12 hours of labor or actual contractions on the 18th, and then another 12 hours on the 19th, and then the 20th. And it always would happen from like 2 to 2, so 2 a.m. to 2 p.m. and then I'd be good rest of the night till 2 a.m. came around again. Actually on the 20th this time, it was probably about 2 p.m. or maybe 12 noon is when the contraction started, and I was like, okay, here go another 12 hours of, you know, intermittent pain. But no, he actually was gonna come. So I was in labor another, let's say 12 hours, yeah, from noon to noon, or noon to midnight, I'm sorry. So the last, I did get an epidural. I'm not sure if that helped. I think I was so tired from contracting on and off that I just wanted the epidural to give me some relief, because I was just so tired of being in pain. And like, the whole time that I was in the hospital, I wasn't really allowed to walk because of my water. I basically was either in the bed, or I could go to the restroom, or I could sit in a chair, but that was it. I didn't get to leave my room. I didn't get to do anything, which was totally opposite of what I wanted. I wanted to, you know, walk around or be able to be on my yoga, or I didn't even get a chance to buy a yoga ball, but you know, to be on the yoga ball or stretch or do something. I wasn't allowed to do any of that. After I got the epidural, I was able to rest for a little bit. I could see that I was still having contractions, but I finally was able to breathe and go and feel like myself again. So, well, I won't say feel like myself because I was high as a kite, but I just wasn't in so much pain that I was gonna go crazy. Let's see, at like midnight is when they got to be crazy, and they were coming and just coming and coming and coming, but I was only still like 9 centimeters, and they're like, he's coming, but you know, you're not dilating enough. So then that's when they gave me the Pitocin, somewhere around there. I don't know, to me it felt like they gave it to me, I pushed and he was out. I know it wasn't that quickly, but that's what it felt like to me anyway. So I did go to a teaching hospital, and I had no problem, you know, being on the table with all these people, but from what I understood, it was going to be the people that I kept seeing the whole time I was in hospital. No. I looked up and there was like 45 people in my room, and then my little support system was like right here. My sister was like bouncing around. My mom was like not in my face, but she's the only person that I focused on. And then she had one of her friends there who hasn't had a baby yet, so she wanted to experience it for herself. She was watching and over in the corner crying, and then my boyfriend was up by my head, and I'm like, come on. And at one point I was like, I can't do this no more. And I was trying to put my legs down, and I was trying to just relax, and I put my head back, and I was like, nope, I'm done, I can't. And then that's when my mom really helped me conjure up that last little bit of energy. And I only pushed 8 times, or only pushed for 8 minutes. That's what it was. I only pushed for 8 minutes, which for a first time mom, they said it can go up to 2 hours. So that's in my head. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it no 2 hours. I'm okay with pain. I'm not a big wuss like some people, but I just couldn't just sit there and keep doing that for no 2 hours. It just was not gonna work at all. So he finally came out, and they whisked him away. He did need oxygen. I didn't do the whole not clean him off thing. I forgot what they call it now. I didn't get a chance to do that. I didn't get a chance to even learn about doing the encapsulation of my what is it called? My placenta. So all of that went out of the window. I didn't even really get to research it. I wanted to use his stem cells for a medication for myself, for my chronic illness, but all of that went out the window because he came so early, and I was unprepared, and I was unprepared mentally. Physically, I must have been prepared. I mean, this is what a woman's body is created for, so it knew what it was doing. I just didn't know what I was doing. So when Mason was born, he was 4 pounds 15 ounces, and I believe like 22 inches. I believe, I can't remember exactly, but he was a nice size to have been on 33 weeks gestation. So he was in NICU for about 8 or 9 days. He at one point he did have a feeding tube because he hadn't mastered the suck swallow mechanism that he needed to feed. So He did have to have that. He did have some jaundice. His bilirubin was a little low, so he was under a light for a day. But other than that, he could regulate his heat well, his own self. Once he got into the use of eating, he was eating well. Side note, he eats well now, very, very well. Other than that, he's been perfect. He did have an issue with his kidney. One was a little bit larger than the other one. So he had, when he was born, he did have to have a ultrasound, and then we actually did a procedure to see if there was any reflux. At the time there wasn't, but next month in June, we're going back. So he can have another ultrasound to check them. So we're gonna keep our eye on that, but he always has enough wet diapers and all that. So, and whenever he does, you know, he is a boy, so his stream, he ain't peed on me, but he has peed on like my sister and stuff. So his stream is always very well, and almost every time he takes a bath, he has to just pee or something because he likes it warm. So his stream is always really good, so I'm not worried about his kidneys. So that's pretty much it. Even though I was a high risk, I feel like compared to other women, my pregnancy and delivery went well. I do wish he would have waited until, you know, he was full term, because it was very hard seeing him in that small incubator or in that bed up there, and I couldn't take him home. And then when I got discharged and he wasn't discharged, like, I completely broke down because I was seeing all these other women leaving with their babies and I couldn't leave with mine. And never in a million years, the whole time I was pregnant, I ever imagined that. Now, I was on some immune suppressing medications at the time, and I knew there was a possibility something could happen, but with all the studies, all the research that I did, I didn't think anything bad was going to happen. But what it came down to is that I was on some steroids, and they believe that the steroids may have made my bag weak. And he's a kicker. He's always been a kicker. He's still a kicker. Those little legs are very strong, and he just kicked through the bag, and that's why I went into labor. So I do plan on having another baby in some years, maybe at least 2 or 3 years. So that's something I'll have to watch again. I'll always have a high-risk pregnancy, so if I have 2 kids or 10 kids, that's just what that is. So my camera is about to die, so I'm gonna try to see if we can get a quick little moment with Mr. Mason. So this is my little fatty McFat. Oh, look at the little bit. Oh, you look. So this is my little man. He will be 7 months and 2 days. Whoop whoop, raise the roof. Isn't he adorable? He's the most adorable baby. And I'm just saying that, I'm a little biased, but you know he cute too. Oh man. Yeah. So he's starting to get 2 little teeth, and he's now, when he went to the doctor, he was 17 pounds, like 11 ounces, and that was like a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. So I'm pretty sure he's a good 18 pounds now. He always had a bunch of hair. I'll insert some pictures from him being born and then all the way up to now, so you can see the little progression of my little heart right here. Good baby. He never cries, except for his teething thing. He started crying with that, but that doesn't bother him too much as long as he has his Orajel. So yeah, you want to say hi? You see yourself in camera right there? You see the baby? Do you see the baby? Do you see the baby? Alright guys, so thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below, and don't forget to subscribe. Say bye-bye. Bye. Today I am going to tell you guys all about my skincare routine. I am 7 months